I am going to go ahead and get started. My name is Jessica Oker. Thank you. And I own Wildcraft Ayurveda in Clearwater. We are on the corner of Turner and Myrtle. We are an Ayurvedic spa as well as a clinic. We have some herbs on site. Spa is kind of misleading. Ayurveda believes that a lot of treatments are more effective when we deliver them through the skin so that we can bypass the digestive tract. So we do a lot of body treatments on site at the clinic. Um, I am an Ayurvedic practitioner and have been practicing, gosh, for a number of years now. And we're lucky to be part of the wellness program here at Pinellas County. So I don't know if anybody is familiar with Ayurveda, so we always kind of touch on a few concepts because it's kind of a new thing, but even when you hear it multiple times, I joke that it's the most complicated, simple science you're ever going to come across. So if anybody has questions, please don't hesitate. One of the things that we look at is what is Ayurveda. We'll talk about that. I'm going to go over some key concepts because it's the lens through which they look at health concerns. And knowing what those concepts are can help us understand um, how Ayurveda views certain health concepts. We also pulled out stress and mental health, as well as weight and sluggish digestion, as well as reproductive and sexual health for men. Specifically, men tend to struggle just like women with all of these things. And so Ayurveda has a specific lens that we look at it for males versus females in health. So what is Ayurveda? Ayurveda is the precursor to traditional Chinese medicine. It is actually 10,000 years old, but it was memorialized in writing 5,000 years ago. The goal is not just to treat symptoms, but Ayurvedic practitioners want to address the root cause of an imbalance. And they believe that when we do that, we restore harmony to the individual's overall well-being, and our cellular intelligence tends to take over, and individuals find wellness when we give them the body what it needs. If you spend any time with me, I kind of liken the body to a car engine. So it's kind of like giving it the right gas, giving it the right oil, changing the tires and things like that, doing routine maintenance to keep everything flowing appropriately. Ayurveda does have 8 branches of study defined as internal medicine, pediatrics, ENT, surgery, ENT and head, psychotherapy, toxicology, rejuvenation, geriatrics, and sexuality, which can include reproduction. We do consider Ayurveda to be a blueprint for wellness that individuals that guides them and teaches them to honor their unique constitution. So Ayurveda views every single individual as a unique microcosm of their macrocosm, and we want to make sure that that individual is aligned with their true nature. And we accomplish this through lifestyle, herbal energetics, as well as diet. It's a lot more common than most people think. I had never heard of Ayurveda before until I started, well, until I got sick and I needed something, and Ayurveda found me. It is practiced by millions of people worldwide. The exact numbers are not known, because it is rooted in ancient India. About 80% of the Indian population, or over 1 billion people, use Ayurveda regularly or occasionally. It's becoming very prolific in the United States. We're actually very close in the state of Florida to having more health freedom and to Ayurveda being more of a licensed practice nationwide. It is very prevalent in Germany and the UK. There are even hospitals in Germany that have Ayurveda, Sri Lanka, Nepal. It's actually part of their traditional healthcare medicine. And we're seeing France start to really pick up with Ayurveda. Recent estimates believe that it influences the health practices of about 300 to 500 million people globally. I believe it's becoming more popular because a lot of us are looking for something more natural or more holistic. I view it as having some tools in our own little toolbox to help keep us on track. Yoga, if you've heard of yoga, it is actually the physical expression of Ayurveda. We do use body treatments to bypass the digestive tract. A lot of the oils that are used in Ayurveda are infused with herbs because it's obviously one of our largest organs. So we're going to use that to deliver what we can into the physical body. They do use a lot of herbs and spices. Food is medicine in Ayurveda. So we mentioned yoga. Meditation was actually developed by the time 10,000 years ago with Ayurveda. Herbal remedies, any type of detoxification process, they call it panchakarma in Ayurveda, but it's rooted in Ayurveda. Spices and healing for digestion, the fact that food is medicine. They also believe in a daily routine that's going to be a little bit different, and we're going to talk about that towards the end of the presentation. But they do want routines around waking up, eating, exercising, and sleeping so that we can align with our natural cycles because we are we have cellular clocks in our cells. So aligning with that can help our body function according to Ayurveda. It's holistic. We do not separate mind, body, spirit. And if you're familiar with acupuncture or acupressure or even color therapy, light therapy, crystals and things like that, it's all rooted in Ayurveda. So one of the big differences between us and TCM or traditional Chinese medicine is that we don't use needles to move energy very quickly or aggressively throughout the body. We're going to use acupressure and massage with oils to slowly, more comfortably move things throughout the body. They have a definition of health that's a little bit unique. It's something called the doshas. They call them vata, pitta, and kapha. I just feel like they use umbrella terms to describe things, and we'll talk a little bit about what those are. Everybody's made up a little bit of everything. If not, we wouldn't exist, but we're born with a certain amount of more than another type of a dosha. There's another concept they call Agni, and that's one's digestive fire. It's our ability to assimilate and metabolize. So anything that we're ingesting, whether it be through the skin or through the mouth, through the eyes, through the ears, everything, if we're not processing it, they'll say our Agni or our digestive fire is impaired. And they do believe that that's the root cause of all disease. So when we start working with people, we focus on what I say is the front end digestion as well as the back end digestion, because we want everything that's coming in to be wholesome, processed appropriately. And when that's done, our organs and our organ systems, as well as all of our excretory functions, will happen with appropriate cadence and frequency and consistency. They also believe that all of this has to be done with a pleasant, contented, disposed mind. So again, they don't separate that mind, body, spirit. So if you feel great physically, but you're sad, you're not said to be in complete health. We want to address that in Ayurveda. So we mentioned briefly the concept of doshas. So if you guys have any questions along the way, this is a lot, so please don't hesitate to ask. Doshas are actually translate to destruction in Ayurveda. They're said to be very dangerous and we want to control them. And these are energies or really just types of metabolic or other types of functions in the body. For example, we don't want acid reflux, right? We want acid to stay in our stomach, processing. They would consider that to be under the umbrella of pitta. And so if it moves up, we're going to have damage to the esophagus and other types of issues that can train track down. So they want to keep that where it belongs. They apply changes to diet and habits in order to maintain keeping doshas where they belong. So it's a key concept in Ayurveda. It's basically considered to be biological energies that govern the various philosophical and physiological functions in our body. Again, we mentioned vata, pitta, and kapha. Depending on what your composition is, it really will dictate how you sleep, how you eat, how you exercise, and even where you prefer to live. The best example I can give, you ever hear people that, just can't stand the heat in Florida. It's horrible for them. And then other people are always cold and they think Florida is a godsend. Or some people need to go out in Arizona where it's really dry because they can't handle the moisture in our climate. So that's going to be a little bit of an example of doshas. So we mentioned vata. They consider it to be air and ether. Again, it's an umbrella term, but it's really any type of communication or movement in your body. Vata types are going to be super creative. They're very connected to the ether. These are individuals who are artists, can kind of pick up on other people's feelings. They're just very sensitive. And when they go out of balance, these are individuals that are going to get bloating, gas, indigestion. They're very prone to constipation, systemic dehydration, or nervous system disorders. Problems like if not being able to sleep or having anxiety. So we joke that if you're overthinking, and you can't sleep, there's probably a little bit of vata going on. And so we warm these people up. We really push their digestion to help them process this very cold energy. But it's connected to basically your nervous system, the rhythm of your heart, the peristaltic movement of your intestines. Pitta, we mentioned that briefly. This is the energy of digestion, metabolism. These are individuals who are account managers of the world. They own businesses. They process enormous amounts of information. They live in spreadsheets. We tend to burn ourselves up. We can process so much information that it's hard to slow us down. tend to have heartburn or acid reflux. They're always hungry. These are going to be people that might have more sensitive disorders in the skin, like hives or acne or rashes. We joke that Pitta men burn the hair off the top of their heads because they're so smart. It's just because they can process so much. Inflammatory conditions, overheated liver. If a Pitta individual is balanced, they're really in the zone. They're working great. They're very creative. If they're imbalanced, it's kind of like Betty White in that Snickers commercial, don't get between them in a refrigerator, because everybody around them is just a little bit frustrating and they can't stand the heat in the summer and they kind of get easily irritated. So we tend to cool Pitta folks off. Um, Kapha folks are going to be made up of earth and water. It's known as the energy of stability and structure in the mind and the body. These are the teddy bears of the world. These are the people that ground us. They have very few friends for life, and they're great conservators of energy. So they're the ones plugging in their 401k from a very early age. They may have a slow metabolism, though. These are the folks when they're imbalanced. If they drink a glass of water, they gain 5 pounds. So we watch kapha folks for a little bit of apathy or maybe lack of inspiration, constipation, as well as edema and swelling. They're going to tend to have more lymphatic types of issues. That congestion, you might want to think of a small child if you have children who get that asthma and they have a lot of mucus and things like that. That's going to be a really good example of a little too much kapha in the body. We motivate these people through herbs, oils on the skin that are very heating, so that we can kind of shake off this heaviness and keep ourselves moving forward. So key imbalances when it relates to men, we mentioned a little bit of that high pitta, the hair loss. If individual tends to have that high heat, maybe there's a little bit of imbalance, they might be quick to anger. They're going to be prone to heartburn or hair loss. High vata folks are going to be a little nervous. Again, we talked about that. Maybe having joint issues. They're prone, according to Ayurveda, to arthritis. They're the ones that are going to have a hard time sleeping. They overthink all night long, and they worry about people. So high kapha, we mentioned you drink a glass of water, you gain 5 pounds. We need to watch them for weight gain, sluggishness, or metabolic disorders like diabetes. Any questions so far? Awesome. So I brought up stress and mental health. The statistics show that men tend to keep issues a little bit more quiet than women. So it's super important that we take care of our men as well. And anxiety, burnout, and sleep would be an issue that Ayurveda would worry about as far as men go, and women, of course. But they do use specific herbs for men when it comes to addressing this vata type of imbalance. We're going to look for herbs that create energy, but calm the body at the same time. And so we call those adaptogens. So they're a class of herbs or mushrooms that are believed to help the body adapt to stress, and they promote immunity as a result. Cleveland Clinic states that when they're consumed, they'll target specific stressors in our body. So these are natural substances derived from plants and herbs. They help our body maintain homeostasis. So if you're under an enormous amount of stress, these are some good herbs to kind of pull out of your back pocket. One I'm confident most people are familiar with, which is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha became pretty trendy. It's great for vata and pitta folks, but not so much for kapha. So ashwagandha is a weight builder. It's a muscle feeder. It's great if somebody's a heavy, aggressive weightlifter and things like that, or younger men and women going through puberty and things like that. But overall, if someone is diabetic or overweight, we kind of don't recommend ashwagandha because it's going to be too heavy for those types of individuals. It has a very heavy building type of energetic once it passes through the digestive tract. But it's a beautiful adaptogen, bidirectional, so it's going to give you that mood lift, but also calm the body at the same time. I always recommend that people take it at night because it can help with sleep. It's very good at helping us process stress. Brahmi is another gorgeous herb in Ayurveda. We use it to reduce feelings of restlessness or impulsivity. It's one of the herbs that we'll use for somebody who has attention deficit or an inability to focus. It's considered to be a very sattvic herb in Ayurveda, which means more pure in thought, more focused, less negative, right? It's going to be more of a positive mind boosting herb. Jatamansi is also an adaptogen that we use in Ayurveda. We're going to use this more for insomnia or mental fatigue. So these are all good for all three doshas. This one, not so much for kapha. So we talked a lot about kapha and waking and digestion, right? They consider when your digestion is impaired, that is what starts that train going down the track of disease, according to Ayurveda. That's the first thing that we want to get under control. We want to kindle that Agni or kindle that digestion. Agni in Sanskrit translates to fire. Again, these little umbrella terms, but it's considered to be the biological fire responsible for digestion, metabolism, any transformation or chemical conversion in the physical body. It governs how we break down our food, how we absorb our nutrients, and how we eliminate waste. Beyond digestion, again, because they don't separate mind, body, and spirit, they consider it to influence our mental clarity, our immunity, and our energy levels. And I'm sure everyone's always heard, be mindful of what you ingest, right? What shows are you watching? What are you reading? Things like that. Because if we don't have a strong mental Agni, we're not going to be able to filter out what we receive and not be able to metabolize it appropriately. So what are some herbs that can stoke our digestion? There's one that's called Trickatu, which is really great. It's just ginger and long pepper. It's known to stimulate digestion, increase your metabolism, and break up kapha, right? So if we're fighting weight, or maybe just overall sluggishness after spring and we're feeling a little lethargic or maybe apathetic, Trickatu is a nice little, we call them churnas or formula. That is a good way to sneak in ginger, and I think everyone's pretty familiar with ginger. Fresh or dried, it's going to improve digestion, enhance your appetite, and help bust down. It's a gas buster. It's considered to be a carminative. So if there's any gas or bloating going on, it's going to help with that. Trickatu is a great herb. I always tell people if you burp after you eat and you can taste your meal, you might want to look at Trickatu. Ajwain is another type of herb that's used often in cooking. It's a digestive stimulant that also is a carminative, so it's going to help reduce bloating. But among all of these herbs are going to have an ability to turn on certain organs within your body, like the pancreas or the intestines or your stomach, to start making digestive enzymes, particularly lipase, protease, and amylase. So if you're taking digestive enzymes to help process food, Ayurveda would prefer that you use these herbs so that you don't have to borrow a third party in ever increasing amounts. Instead, they kind of want you to turn it on yourself with these herbs. Most of them taste pretty good and you could sneak them in. Hing is called asafoetida. You might see it as called hingvashtak. It's a formula. It's kind of like a spice mix. And you can just pepper it on all your food and just toss it on. Everybody that tries it loves it. It's just got a good little mixed taste to it. It's a remedy for gas and indigestion as well as sluggish digestion. Cumin, a little bit more familiar, also going to help support digestion, reduce bloating, and enhance our ability to absorb nutrients. Fenugreek is great for weight loss. It's good for helping us balance sugar, boosts metabolism, and aids in fat digestion. Mustard seeds are known specifically for increasing Agni because it's very pungent, right? It's going to kick up that digestive fire, help clear mucus from the stomach. Bay leaf is also something they would incorporate to enhance digestion and regulate your appetite. Cinnamon is great for warming the digestive tract and increasing circulation. It's good for balancing vata and kapha. Cloves as well, they're very strong carminatives that help relieve bloating and indigestion. All of these herbs, you can kind of sneak them in. If somebody wants a smoothie in the morning, I tell them, go for it. Go ahead and put some ginger, maybe some cinnamon, some cloves in there. You could pop in some fenugreek. If you're going to eat maybe a heavy steak or meal or something like that, you could put hing on it to help digest it, or ajwain, and then you could take some trickatu about a half an hour before eating to kind of turn that digestive tract on. So segueing into reproductive and sexual health for men, let me go and pull this up. They look at layers of digestion. They're kind of similarly to Western, but a little bit different. They consider it 7 organ systems. So if you take a bite of food, they believe that and very similar to Western, the first organ system that's going to be nourished is going to be your plasma. Secondary is the blood. Third, your muscle, then your adipose tissue or your fat. Then we're going to nourish our bones and our cartilage. Then your sixth, you're looking at your nerves. And the last is going to be your reproductive system. So if somebody is looking for fertility or more potence, things like that, you're going to have a little bit of time making changes before you're going to see an impact on the reproductive system. And they believe that the process actually takes 35 days. So if you take one bite of food today, let's say you decide I'm going to make some changes, I'm going to start incorporating these herbs, I'm going to eat for my dosha and start eating foods that are a little bit more positive for my body. It's not really going to affect all of your organ systems for 35 days. So it takes some time. You might start to feel some changes, but they believe that that full result isn't going to occur until we've gone through that flow of nutrition from the stomach to the intestines, all the way through all of those organ systems. At the end of those 35 days, they believe that the reproductive system kind of is responsible for our immunity, not just our gut. And it produces something called ojas, which is basically an energy similar to immunity. So if someone's eating well, they go through this 35-day process, they're less likely to get sick, which is kind of common sense. But there's some great herbs for reproductive health, specifically for men. Shilajit is kind of becoming common and people are starting to hear about it. I caution people with using Shilajit because it's a very limited resource. It is actually a mineral that's scraped off the cliffs of the Himalayas. And in Ayurveda, we primarily use it to bring someone off of dialysis. It's really positive effect for the kidneys. It's a great herb for that type, the urinary tract system. But it also happens to be a potent aphrodisiac. It's an energy booster. It improves libido and stamina and fertility. So while I work with men in those specific types of categories, I might recommend Shilajit, but it won't be something that we want to keep someone on for very long. It's going to be kind of like we get on that herb, do a little bit of work, and then get off. Or it's not really, it's a mineral. Soft-fed muesli is known for enhancing sperm quality as well as quantity. It's great for increasing libido and energy levels. This is something that I recommend regularly to someone who is perhaps facing fertility issues. The next one is my absolute favorite to say. It's called Kapikachu. I don't know who came up with the name, but I adore it. And it makes me happy to say it, which is ironic because it increases dopamine levels. It's also known to reduce stress, but from a reproductive standpoint, it's been shown to boost sperm motility and increase levels of testosterone. Gokshura is another formula. It's great for testosterone production. So again, we're going to use it in reproductive health, but it's really good for muscle strength as well. It improves stamina, and it's one of the cornerstone herbs that we're going to use for prostate health in men because it's been shown to benefit the urinary tract. Nutmeg, ironically, is an aphrodisiac that enhances libido, but it also is great for the mind. This is Jatamansi. We mentioned it earlier. So it's really good at helping stress, but it is also a sedative. There is a chemical compound in nutmeg that oxidizes after about 2 weeks. So we always recommend that it be freshly grated. It has a 4-hour time delay. So if you want to go to sleep at 10 o'clock at night, take it at 6. You just have to be careful if you have low blood pressure because nutmeg can also lower blood pressure. So it's contraindicated if somebody has low pressure. But if somebody has high pressure and has trouble sleeping, this is a beautiful herb to just kind of grate half a teaspoon into some warm milk. It could be plant milk, whatever you want. 6 o'clock at night, add some ashwagandha, drink it down, and you'll go off to sleep a little bit more easily. And you might have a better mood. Shatavari is asparagus root. This is an herb that's great for women and men. It's considered again to be a sattvic herb. They don't understand exactly how it works so beautifully in the human body, but it has this affinity for the female reproductive system and the male reproductive system. It's a demulcent, so it's going to bring moisture to the intestines. So if someone has some constipation issues or inflammation, we're going to recommend Shatavari. It's going to kind of lube everything up. From a male perspective, it's been shown to improve sperm health and strengthen the nervous system. It tastes really good. It's very innocuous in taste if you want the powder. Some people love to drink coffee, so I was telling them just use it as creamer and sneak it into your coffee if you have to. But it's something you can put into a smoothie as well. It's just a really good addition for just about anybody. Ashwagandha is going to boost testosterone and sperm count. Again, this might not be something that we want for somebody who's more of a kapha disposition. It's going to be more vata pitta. Any questions so far? You guys are awesome. Okay, so we're going to touch on a little bit on heart health, blood pressure, and cholesterol, because this is also something that tends to pop for men as well as women. Um, They're going to look at strengthening the heart and improving circulations. There's a couple of herbs that I wanted to mention. This is what I love about Ayurveda. You can take one or two herbs, and if it's the right one for your dosha, it can have an impact on several different organ systems. Arjuna translates to strength of a horse. This is going to be an herb that we use specifically to strengthen heart muscles. It can also help with regulating blood pressure. It's been shown in studies to lower LDL as well as cholesterol and prevent plaque buildup. It has a very astringent taste. I love it. Not everybody is going to love it, but they do sell it in tablets as well. It's not going to be an herb that's going to really slam down your blood pressure if somebody has really high blood pressure, but it's something nice to kind of incorporate as we age. Ashwagandha, we mentioned this again. It's such a beautiful herb. Again, it's an adaptogen for stress and heart health, but it's also been shown to help with lowering hypertension. It also has an ability to help strengthen the heart muscles and balance cortisol levels. We mentioned Brahmi earlier because it's got this great ability to calm the nervous system, but it also helps lower stress-induced hypertension, where you're under an enormous amount of stress. Brahmi has a way to calm your nervous system so that you don't react as much to, you won't be as prone to hypertension according to Ayurveda if it's stress related. It's very good for cognitive health and heart function. That one's also got a little bit of a grassy, bitter taste. I also love it. Not everybody does, but you can get that in a tablet as well. So again, we talked a little bit about how Arjuna might not be the strong horse for lowering hypertension. There are some other herbs that we look at that I kind of joke with people. I've got like an A, B, C, D, and E list, different weight classes for fighters. But basically, sarpaganda or snake root is a natural blood pressure regulator. It contains a chemical compound known as reserpine, which relaxes blood vessels, and it's good for long-term hypertension control. I haven't used it yet, but I've been told it really does slam down blood pressure. I haven't personally needed that one. I've taken every other one on this slideshow. Punarva is great for the kidneys. These are people, this is going to be your kapha folks, right? Natural diuretic for fluid balance. If somebody's struggling with weight retention, water retention, edema or swelling or high blood pressure, Punarva is a beautiful mix to help detoxify the kidneys and the heart. Jatamansi, which is the nutmeg we talked about, good at lowering blood pressure, great at relieving stress, helps balance the mind for vata and pitta. It's also been shown to help improve circulation. Specifically for high cholesterol and artery cleansing, garlic is kind of controversial in Ayurveda because it's said to be a stimulant sexually, and so not all true Ayurvedic practitioners want to have a colored mindset, so they might avoid garlic. But it's Western and Eastern, it's been shown to be an amazing cholesterol booster. It's going to lower LDL cholesterol and triglycerides and help prevent plaque buildup in the arteries. There is one of my absolute favorite herbs called Google. It's just fun to say. Google is a sap resin from a tree. It's very aggressive, but it's been said to go in and kind of scrape out cholesterol. It helps reduce bad cholesterol. It helps support weight loss and metabolism. I've used it for high cholesterol and seen improvements in my scores. It takes time though. It's not going to be something that's like an overnight thing. It's also very aggressive. So we like to balance it with another herb or another chemical compound of herbs. And the one that you'll see most often when it's kind of stabilized with is triphala. Triphala is made up of 3 fruits. This is kind of the kitchen cornerstone herb in Ayurveda. Everybody gets triphala, you know. It's got 3 fruits in it. It's not really an herb, it's fruits, but it's Hariataki, Bibiataki, and Amalaki. Amalaki is super high in vitamin C. It's like 35 times or something like that more potent than an orange. Um, they have different actions. They are basically detoxifiers. They're known to flush out toxins from the liver and the blood. They help lower cholesterol naturally. They drive a bowel movement, not like I have to run to the bathroom kind of way, but just a normal, healthy bowel movement. They're going to help drive with the vitamin C, that peristaltic movement in the intestines. They also bring moisture to the intestines. And when people are constipated, their intestines kind of get stretched out. So they have an herb in there to help kind of tonify your intestines and give them a little bit of a workout so that it just kind of pulls stuff out of your blood. It's also great for toxins or parasites. Triphala has a great ability to help take, I always say, if it doesn't belong in the body, Triphala's got a pretty good way of getting it out. Turmeric, most people are familiar with. It's an anti-inflammatory, also known as a heart protector. It's been shown to prevent arterial blockages, but also reduce oxidative stress and inflammation in the body. So once you sneak all these herbs in, that's great, right? We talked a little bit about a daily type of routine. They're really big on that. They call it dinacharya, but basically it's eat for your dosha, right? So if you figure out you're going to be dominant in one or two, and if anybody wants a quiz, just let me know, but they're online too. I always tell people do it once as a child and do it once now, so you can kind of see what's going on, what you're more likely aligned to be versus where you're imbalanced right now as we've gone through life. Um, but eat for your dosha, right? Vata folks, these are the people that if they eat broccoli or cauliflower or raw, their stomach is killing them. Beans, they're like, oh my God, no way, I cannot eat beans. It just caused them such gastric distress. These are going to be more Vata dominant types of folks. And so we're going to eat more unctuous, loving, spiced foods with lots of moisture and ghee in those for Vata folks. Pitta folks, they can kind of digest anything and break it down. They are going to be the folks that a cold salad might be a little bit easier for them. These are the people that if they drink a beer and have pizza, they're dying from acid reflux, right? So we're going to eat things that don't drive up that acid. Kapha folks, these are more sedentary, lethargic type of digestion. So they need to eat lighter foods, more soups, more warming foods. Um, Eating fast food is going to be the worst thing for them, right? Processed foods are really hard on kapha folks, even though maybe vata and pitta can cheat sometimes. We're going to focus on eating for that dosha, and I'll talk a little bit about what dinacharya is. They like to include strength building foods like ghee and almonds. We talked about that ashwagandha, sesame, root vegetables, avoiding alcohol and red meat and heavy fried foods, right? Especially for pitta and kapha. So what is a dinacharya? It's this daily routine. They believe it aligns your body with your natural rhythms and your balances out your doshas and promotes health and longevity. It doesn't take too much time in the morning. There are several different types of practices that you can incorporate into your daily routine if you want to integrate them. Some people get up very early. They'll do oil pilling. I'll walk through it, and they scrape their tongue. They'll do abhyanga, which is this daily oil massage. We'll talk a little bit more about that. They might do yoga, they might do breath exercises or meditation. And it kind of is a way to kind of set your day. I know that whenever I do abhyanga, I joke that I can bend time. It's just because I'm a lot less stressed and things tend to flow better when I'm not worrying about it. Yoga postures are going to help for strength and circulation as well as grounding. Pranayama or breath, they do it for stamina and focus. And we'll talk about these two breaths that are great for men. Meditation, obviously, it's going to help you manage anger, competitiveness, or restlessness, which is going to be Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Abhyanga, this is where they'll take oil specific for the dosha. So if you resonated with Vata, you might use Vata oil or sesame or castor. If you resonated with Pitta, Pitta oil or maybe coconut oil. And then Kapha, it's going to be Kapha oil or like mustard seed oil. And what they do is every morning, we do long strokes on the bones and then circular motions on the joints. And you want to kind of get all that oil into your skin, cover yourself from top down to your toes, and warm up that oil before you put it on if you can. Give it 20 minutes and let it soak in. I know that in the Western world, that's an enormous amount of time. I tell my clients, if you can get it on for 2 or 3 minutes, I'm thrilled. Some people, their skin just sucks up this oil because it's needed so badly, and they don't even need to wipe it off. It's just gone. Other people, they might need to rinse it off. There's no right or wrong answer, whatever resonates with you, as long as you get it on the skin. If you have hives, pitta oil is great, coconut oil. I have so many people come in with hives on their body or burning rashes, eczema, that pitta oil, it's unbelievable how fast it works. Just to kind of bring that heat down on the skin. It's not going to fully get to your root cause, but it's a nice way to kind of, I joke it's a little magic trick to help you get through it. But on a daily basis, if we can get that on, some people like to sleep in it and just get up in the morning and take their shower, and that works too. Um, Brahmari is called bee breath. I think this is my absolute favorite one. If you have kids or anything, this is a great little breath work. You're basically going to close your eyes and use your fingers to kind of fold up your earlobes to cover your ears. You're basically creating a sight and hearing deprivation so you don't hear anything. You probably did this when you were little. And then you're going to make a humming sound, very low pitched, like a bee. But the goal is to feel the vibration in your head and kind of push that sound up into the top of your head as well as your chest. It really wakes you up. It's a great way to reduce anxiety and stress. It helps balance vata and kapha. If somebody is overwhelmed or needs focus, like you maybe have a project you want to do a little bit of bee breath. I joke the sound just kind of clears the cobwebs out of the brain. The other one is very common. It's called alternate nostril breathing. There's a fancy way to do it, but I just tell people basically you want to kind of close off one side of your nostril, breathe in, hold your breath for maybe a couple of seconds, and then blow it out the other side. They'll want you to do this maybe 5 or 10 minutes to kind of clear. It's a really good way to balance the energy in your body. It really brings down anxiety because it balances your nervous system. It's good for balancing hormones, increasing your mental clarity, your emotional control. It's been shown to reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and help with fatigue. Basically, you're enhancing your oxygen flow. It's good for detoxification as well. So if you're having a panic attack, this might be a good breath for you. They also look at things seasonally, right? We want to look at just, we have different times in our life. When we're younger, we're going to be a little bit more kapha, more juicy. When we get into our middle ages, we're going to be more pitta prone because we're building our lives, we're expanding. You think of older people, they tend to be colder and drier and harder. That's the vata time of life, according to Ayurveda. So sometimes we want to adjust how we eat to match the season, right? Eat seasonal fruits. But maybe in summer, you're hot and you're a little rashy and you need coconut, but then you get dry in the summer and you might need more sesame. And so we kind of switch it, I mean, in the fall, and you might need more sesame. So we look at how seasons where we live impacts our lifestyle as well. In the teens, we're looking more towards vitality and growth. In our 30s and 50s, we need to be looking at stress, our heart, and our hormones. And our 60s and up, for men, we got to look at rejuvenation, herbs that build us back up as life tears us down, our prostate, as well as our bone health. And so I wanted to include kind of a morning routine. This tends to scare people, but Ayurveda wants us up before the sun. So getting up early, joining that 5 a.m. club or that 5:30 club, whatever they call it, is totally aligned with Ayurveda. Get up early. It's the best time for mental clarity. It's also been shown to be the time to set your metabolism for the day. They don't want you to brush your tongue. They want you to use a copper or a different type of tongue scraper. So you'll wake up in the morning, you can oil pull first to kind of swish all that oil in between. It's kind of like flossing. And then take that tongue scraper and you're going to, oh, and you spit out the oil and scrape your tongue 7 times. You will be amazed at what comes off your tongue. It's a life changer just for dental hygiene. Then you can brush your teeth. They're going to use something more natural that has neem or triphala in it. Drinking warm water to start stimulating your digestion. They want you going to the bathroom every single day. More ideally is twice a day. So you need to find a way to go to the bathroom in the morning. They also do nasya, which is drops of oil into the nose. And nasya tends to have herbs in it for focus, communication, overall brain health, detox, um, good herbs for lowering anxiety. So they'll put a couple drops in. I'll do it on days where I know I have a project that I'm dreading and I can't focus on because I have a squirrel brain. I will do Nastia and it just kind of helps me focus. That self massage, getting that oil onto the skin in the morning, taking that shower, if you can do some light stretching or walking or pranayam, and a little bit of meditation to set your positive intentions for the day. That would be an example of someone who's really good at an Ayurvedic dinacharya or routine in the morning. I always tell people if you could pick up one thing, do one thing a month and start incorporating it and see the shifts in your health. Um, that's it. That's all I have for this presentation. I hope that it gives you some sort of lens or glance into how Ayurveda loves on our men and shows us a little bit, how we look at things in Ayurveda, and also gives you a little bit of tools so you can put them in your back pocket to help control some of the energies in your body or herbs that you might want to take if there's something that resonated with you.